New bikes are pretty damn expensive these days, aren't they? But there is a way to beat the high prices, and that's buying a second-hand used bike. Let somebody else take the hit on depreciation and you can enjoy a cut-price bike that still offers great performance and reliability. And if you're buying a bike that's only a few years old, it will still look as good and ride just as well as any brand new bike. And trust me, there are definitely some absolute bargains and gems to be had out there, and I bought 2 of them this year. But I've learnt a few lessons along the way about buying a second-hand bike that I want to share with you today in this video before you start shopping for a used bargain. Now, before we dive in, today's video is sponsored by Buycycle. Buycycle is Europe's biggest marketplace for pre-owned bikes and now available in the US as well. They believe your dream bike doesn't need to break the bank, and its platform makes it easy and safe to sell used bikes. They offer a massive choice of high quality pre-owned bikes covering road, gravel and mountain bikes that, ready for this, are 50% cheaper than new bikes. Wow, that sounds amazing. And if you're looking to sell a bike, they make the whole process super easy and quick. They even take care of all the packaging which is sent to your house, and that is pretty neat. They also make life easier with all payments being secure and insured, so there's no risk to the buyer or seller. So what are you waiting for? Check out Buycycle at the link down below in the description. Now, the first stage of buying a used bike is setting a budget. And set a realistic budget here and try to stick to it. I know very well how easy it is to be distracted by bikes outside of your budget, and you can find yourself spending a lot more than you initially planned, and your bargain isn't quite so bargainous. But that said, you do need some flexibility because pricing second-hand bikes, in my experience, is a tricky business. Buycycle has a very useful price evaluation tool that gives you an indication of what bikes are sold for in a similar condition to the one you're looking at, which is a really good starting point. And when setting your budget, it's worth putting some to one side for any potential servicing work, new parts, tyres that might be worn out, new cables. And because bikes don't come with a service history like cars do, you have no idea how much wear that bike might have. So set a small percentage of that budget to one side just in case it needs some work doing. Because as I found out when I bought a second-hand CAD 12 earlier this year, it needed quite a lot of work doing. A full service, stripped down, new tyres, gear cables, and it did end up costing quite a bit more than I thought it would. Right, you set your budget, that's down on paper and locked in place. Now you start the fun part of the process, searching for a used bargain. Now it helps when you're searching for a new bike to have some idea of what you want. You might be going for a certain brand, or a Specialized, or a Trek, or a Giant perhaps. You might be going for a certain model or group set, so Ultegra from Shimano, or SRAM Rival Access for example. Or you might have an open mind and just browse and see what takes your fancy. When I was buying a bike, I knew what I wanted. I had a clear idea of the model and the group sets and the price I was willing to pay. Now, where you search for your bike depends on you really. There are loads of options. Now today I partner with Buycycle because they have made a safe place to buy and sell bikes that removes all of the risk. Now there are other places of course. There's eBay, there's Facebook Marketplace, there's Gumtree and other forums, and there's old-fashioned bike shops, marketplaces, car boot sales and so on. But searching online is probably the easier option. You can do it at home in the comfort of your house, on your phone, on your laptop, and just take all the time you want to search for a new bike. Now, when it comes to searching for your bike, the big lesson I learned is that it takes a long time because I had a very clear idea of the bike and the price and the details. I had to do lots and lots of searching. And I saw a few bikes that nearly met my needs and the price but didn't quite tick all the boxes. And so I was very strict with myself. There were a few bikes I could have bought if I was prepared to pay more or go for a lesser quality group set. So you need to be quite strict if you are determined to get the bike you want, that it might take days, weeks, or in my case, months. And when you are searching for a new bike online, you'll notice straight away there's a big difference between a quality listing with good photos and a detailed description and a bad listing with blurry, out of focus photos and a very simple description. And that tells you a lot, I think, about the person selling the bike and how it might be looked after. And now to the trickiest part of buying a second-hand bike. You've done all your searching, you found the bike of your dreams, you've made contact with a seller, and you've hopefully made arrangements to meet that person at a safe place, their house or somewhere public, to see the bike before you hand over your hard-earned money. And that's because when you see the bike in the flesh for the first time with your own eyes, you have to decide whether it's a bargain or a banger. So make sure to ask the seller lots of questions and have a good discussion about the bike with them. How long have they owned it? Have they had it since new? What use has it had? Have they crashed it? Have they replaced parts? Do they have a receipt to prove they own it and it's not stolen? Definitely worth checking, because you are relying on the seller being honest and trustworthy. So use your instincts. Does it feel like the person is genuine and they are just trying to sell their old pride and joy because they bought a new bike perhaps, they no longer have space for this bike and they want it to go to a good home? Or does it feel a bit dodgy and a bit suspect? Are they a bit shifty? So use your instincts here. Maybe take a friend if you want a bit of backup, a bit of support to ask questions around your bike. And if anything feels odd or unsafe, feel free to walk away. Don't be pressured into buying that bike. You haven't committed to buying the bike until you hand over money or do a bank transfer. So if it doesn't feel right, walk away. As well as asking questions about the bike, make sure to give it a thorough look over. If you're not confident, maybe take a friend who is good with servicing bikes and really go over the bike. You're checking to make sure the bike meets the description. Unlike with cars, there's no service history, so you are relying on a level of trust with the seller. One lesson I learnt and found really useful was to find out what parts the bike had when it was new, and then see if there was anything different on the bike being sold. Lots of changed parts on the bike could suggest it's had loads of use, loads of miles and abuse, or maybe if you're lucky, the seller enjoyed upgrading the bike and it might have better parts than when it was new. You might have a bargain on your hands. And researching a bike when it's sold new will tell you how old it is from the paint job and the components, and also, very importantly, tell you the price. And that gives you a good guide for when making an offer on buying that bike. A key part of the inspection is to find out what condition the bike is in, whether parts are worn out and they might need replacing when you buy it, where it's been looked after and well maintained. So start with the tyres. You can tell from the tyres how much use it's had. Are they brand new or are they worn out and flat along the top, showing any carcass, cuts and holes? Could suggest the bike's had a hard life. Also check the bar tape. That's a good indication of how much use the bike's had. Is it threadbare, wearing out, covered in sweat, or is it brand new and does it feel good? Another key check is the chain. So the chain could be worn but look brand new. And if a chain is worn, it might suggest the chain rings on the crankset and the cassette are also worn as well. That could mean all the parts need replacing. And a small tool like this will let you check in seconds whether the chain is worn or has plenty of life in it. And this doesn't cost much. There are plenty of versions out there. And for the sake of buying one of these and popping it on the chain to tell you instantly whether it's worn out or whether it's good to go, will save you a lot of money in the long run. Replacing a chain, cassette and chainring is an expensive job, and that would definitely be a sting in the tail of your new bargain second-hand bike, which won't be a bargain anymore when you buy new parts for it. Another easy check is the bearings on the bike. So in the headset, the bottom bracket and the hubs on the wheels. So with the headset bearing, you can spin the handlebars, turn them in your hands, and also pull the front brake and rock the bike back and forth. It's a play in the headset. Do the bearings feel tight? Do they feel kind of all crunchy, or is it smooth and spin freely? And then the same with the wheels. Spin the wheels and see if they're spinning smoothly and quietly, or can you feel some noise, that sort of echoey, hollowy noise you get when the bearings are worn out. And the same with the bottom bracket. Spin the cranks backwards and forwards and see where the bottom bracket is okay. And also with the bottom bracket, grab hold of the cranks and pull them back and forth and see if there's any play. It's probably unusual and a bit too much to ask for a test ride, but there's no reason why not. And if after all that you're happy with the bike and you do want to buy it, don't be afraid to haggle the price. Just be reasonable and fair. Hopefully the bike can be priced at a reasonable level, and use your visual inspection as evidence for any parts that might need replacing to maybe haggle on the price. If it needs parts replacing, maybe mention that and say, will it go lower? and then try and meet in the middle and go for a fair price. Then once you agree on the price, shake their hand, transfer some money, and congratulations, you bought a second-hand bike. You can now ride off into the sunset, or maybe not. It's likely the bike, depending on the condition and that visual inspection, might need some servicing. If you're unlucky, the bike might need a full service. In worst cases, as I found out, you might be looking at new tyres, cables, bearings, and more. And the price can quickly ramp up, and your bargain isn't quite a bargain anymore. But if you're lucky, doesn't need anything replacing or upgrading, and you're good to go. Now, a good bike mechanic, whether from a shop or a friend, will happily give a used bike a once over and provide a report for any work that might need to be carried out. Hopefully you're lucky and a gem, not a dud. So hopefully I haven't made buying a second-hand used bike sound too daunting. I really enjoyed the process of buying a second-hand bike. I was surprised how much longer it took than I was expecting, and how much rubbish I had to wade through before I found the bike I was looking for. But from looking on Buycycle today, there are loads of good deals to be had out there, and they are definitely a lot cheaper than buying a new bike. And some look like they've had almost no use at all. So if you're smart, you can bag yourself a really nice bike and save a chunk of cash and spend the money on a holiday or home improvements or whatever it is. Anyway, make sure to check out Buycycle in the link down below. Definitely a place to start your search for a second-hand bike. And if you want to see my video on upgrading and servicing a second-hand Cat 12, watch this video up here. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video has helped you if you are in the market for a second-hand bike. And I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.